Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we are doing our end of the year best games, top 10 best games of the year, and dang, 2024 has been an absolute wild ride. There's been such good games. We broke our record and not only hit 1,000 subscribers, but we hit 4,000 subscribers. So big thank you guys before we get started to all of you guys that subscribe, that take the time out of your day to watch my videos. You know, like, comment. You guys are freaking awesome, and I just can't show my appreciation enough. You guys are freaking awesome, and I wouldn't be here, my channel wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. So big thank you before we get started. You guys are awesome. But like I said, 2024 has been a crazy year. Quite a few games that came out this year were absolutely incredible. I had a ton of fun. But before we jump into it, guys, I just wanted to give a few honorable mentions. First of all, Elden Ring was my favorite game of the year. I'm not counting it for here because I'm really only counting games that released in 2024. And although it's DLC and it's great, just part of me just doesn't feel right by counting it. Does that make sense? It's like the same as last year. Last year, the Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty DLC was absolutely amazing. Probably my favorite thing that I played last year, but I didn't count it. Honorable mention for it though because it was fantastic. But as far as DLC goes, this was absolutely incredible. If you didn't have to play through like 80% of the game, maybe I'd count it, but alas, that's an honorable mention. A few other honorable mentions that I want to throw out there is Metaphor ReFantazio. The only reason I haven't put it on the list is because I have not finished it. So all of the games that are on this list as of right now are all games that I have beat, finished, rolled the credits on. Quite a few of these games on the list, I've even gone as far as to get the Platinum Trophy on the PlayStation Forum. So I decided not to include that one, even though I'm having such a good time. I think I have like 20 or so hours in it. I want to finish the game before I really give my overall score on it. So Metaphor's one. Also Dragon's Dogma 2 I know has been on a lot of people's lists. Unfortunately, I have not had the time to play it yet. Around the time that it came out, I think there was Final Fantasy and Rise of Ronin, and I ended up playing both of those ones before I finished. Oh hey Kens. A lot of good games, and I haven't had the chance to play Dragon's Dogma 2. It is on the list, though. I'll eventually play it. Also, before we jump into it, I just want to say that this is my personal list. Everyone's list is going to be a little bit different, I imagine. So if my top 10 is not the same as your top 10, that's okay. That's awesome. We all have our favorite games. We all have our own opinions. So let me know down in the comments below what your top 10 are. And without further ado, guys, let's jump into number 10. So number 10, I went back and forth with a few different games, and I ultimately ended on the first Descendant. Now, is this a great game? It's okay. It's a very much okay game. I think I gave it a 7 out of 10. The only reason I rated it a little bit higher is that, first of all, it was free. And the amount of content you can do in this game for it being free is incredible. There's a lot to do in this game. The gunplay is really great. The different bosses were a lot of fun. I played a lot with my brother, and so just doing that, all those things together, I would say that this is probably my top 10. Now, if I had finished some of those other games I mentioned, this one would definitely be pushed off. But overall, the character designs in the game were awesome. The combat was awesome. I really liked the different abilities and all the different classes that you can choose from. They were all really unique and fun. Like Bunny was completely different from some of the other Descendants that you got to play as. So I personally had a lot of fun with it. And like I said, for it being free, was kind of hard to beat. Now this is a game that I feel like is probably on nobody's list. This one came and went. I think I heard like 2 people talk about it and it was gone. I really liked this game. I thought the story was really great. You follow Red as his wife, fiance, I can't remember, it's been a hot minute, actually dies, and they're ghost hunters, and the choices in this game, you can either, take people's souls and revive your wife, or you could do the right thing and let these souls pass on. The gameplay for this one wasn't anything too spectacular. It was very simple, but the story was very well done. I really liked it. The voice acting was also really well done. There's quite a few boss fights, and the boss fights themselves were fun. I just love the premise of it. Like, even like the ghost taking over people's bodies, and like the weird like ghost zombie things and stuff like that were all really cool. I really like this game. I think it deserves a spot on the list, which is really sad because I feel like around this time is, I think, what, Helldivers 2 came out like right around the same time as this, and then shortly after was Final Fantasy. So those that were looking forward to this game probably ended up playing either one of those two. I think it's a really great game. I think you guys should check it out. Really liked it. Now this game is one of the first games I played this year, and I haven't played any of the Prince of Persia games. I will say that. Prince of Persia was just not on my radar at the time that those games were coming out, and so I heard a lot of good things about it, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to check this one out. It's a platformer, which I'm okay on. I like platformers every now and then, and man, this one was insanely fun. I loved all of the different levels that you can do, all of the different abilities. The combat in this game was actually really fun. Being able to zip around, and once you unlock all of the different abilities and slowing time and creating portals and like all that cool stuff, this game was incredibly fun. Same thing with Banishers. This one kind of flew under the radar and I feel like nobody played it, but this game was insanely fun. One of the first games I played this year. Story-wise, it's definitely on the weaker end. I would say that, like, since we're looking at my list here, if we're comparing Banishers, Ghost of New Eden, and Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Lost Crown had definitely better combat, but a weaker story, whereas Banishers had a much better story, but the combat definitely was very simplified. But Prince of Persia was insanely fun. I really liked it. All of the boss fights were incredibly fun, and some of them were actually quite challenging, even just on the normal difficulty. I also liked that you can take pictures, like screenshots, because there's been so many times, like let's say I'm playing Metroid Dread, where I see something and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to go back to it, and then, you know, hours pass and I totally forget, and I unlock the ability that would have been able to let me get to this area or get that item, and I completely forgot, and I'm like, man, where was it? I'm like searching through the map, going to all these different locations, have no idea where that thing was. But this one here, you could take a snapshot, it saves a snapshot on the map saying like, hey, you took a picture here, come back and look at this. So I thought that was really cool. It actually made smacking my mic, made the exploration a ton of fun. I am a huge fan of horror games. I haven't played all of them. Actually, all of these remakes is basically where I've jumped into the horror genre train, per se. I never played these games when they first came out, so them having remakes, I'm all on board for. Like the Dead Space, the Resident Evil, and now Silent Hill 2. I've had a ton of fun with it. I really liked the story aspect of this one. Is definitely more of like a psychological horror, where like a lot of these things are happening in James's head. All of the, I won't spoil like any spoilers here, but when you find out the Pyramid Head and like the whole backstory to that and what happened to his wife, ooh, it was really good. I really like the story here. Combat, very similar to a lot of horror games. You got your shotguns, your handguns, and a melee weapon. I will say that melee is a little weird, and I did kind of note that in my review, but overall, game is insanely scary. I love the sound design here. I was playing with my headphones on, and there's so many times where I can hear things crawling in the wall, and I'm like looking around corners, and like I feel like something was gonna pop out at every second of me playing this game. Soundtrack also was very good. Everything about this game, I just had a blast with it. As I said, big horror fan here, and Silent Hill 2 definitely delivered on that. Now the next two spots, my 5 and 6 spots, I literally had gone back and forth with for quite a while, determining which one I liked better, which one I liked least, back and forth. But as of the making of this video, as of right now, I'm going to put Space Marine 2, or Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 at number 6, and we'll get to number 5 here shortly. But Space Marine 2, this is my first time playing any of the Warhammer games, and holy crap, this game was bloody awesome. I was just straight up addicted to this game. Taking out hordes of these aliens, and the chainsaw sword thing reminded me a ton of like Gears of War. Like there's just tons of like hordes. You have different builds. You could even do some multiplayer. Like everything about this game was insanely cool. I'm a big reader myself, and I actually put a ton of like the Warhammer like Space Marine lore books on my like to be read list because I was just so entranced in this world, all these different things you see, and I'm like, what is the point of that? Like, they have all of these augmentations on their body, the looks like screws or bolts into their forehead, and you see like these babies with freaking wings, and I'm like, just like, what is going on? Overall, the gameplay here was absolutely incredible. I always say this in a ton of my videos, is that gameplay is king. Space Marine 2 here, the game looks great, the combat is great, I love the melee mixed with the guns, super fun. I had an absolute blast with this game. If you guys haven't played it yet, highly recommend. Now coming in at number 5, I have Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade was absolutely incredible. This is one of those games where I remember watching, like, following this game for quite a while and was very cautiously optimistic. I kept seeing things and I was like, this game looks really great. It looks like one of those games that look really cool, and then you find out that it's a mobile game and you're like, ugh. Like, at least that's how I am. I'm not big on mobile games, never have been. And this looked like one of those ones. Like, every time I saw something, I was like, yeah, it looks good, but gosh, just part of me had a little bit of reservation. That was all like out the window because this game was insanely fun. It delivered on it. The story, not as good, but holy crap, same thing as some of these other games I've mentioned. The gameplay was just so much fun. Very hack and slash. It was like, I even had some moves that reminded me a ton of like Devil May Cry. That's what I would compare the gameplay to. There are parts that are a little bit difficult, but I wouldn't say the game overall was very hard at all. The parries were really fun. Getting your super moves off was a ton of fun. And then just the bosses themselves were incredibly fun. There were so many boss fights, all super unique and different, and having to take them out was different, and just everything about this game. The combat here was insanely good, and I really liked it. I loved like this space. It almost reminded me of like Nier Automata, which is funny because there's a DLC where they do like a crossover. Reminded me a lot of that because technically Eve is an android or a robot. I think she's an android, something like that. But overall, gameplay here was insanely fun, graphics insanely fun, and I have no problem putting this one at number 5. It was an insanely good game. Now, this is the game that has kind of had a lot of controversy around it. I thought this game was incredibly fun and well-deserved for Game of the Year. When I look at all of the Game of the Year contenders, other than Balatro, which I didn't play, so I'm not real sure on that game, I could have seen any of them winning, honestly. Like, if Metaphor won, I wouldn't have been upset. If Elden Ring would have won, I probably wouldn't have been upset, but I know a lot of people would have been. But all of those games were insanely good games. Astrobot here is no different. Was it my personal Game of the Year? Technically, no, but I can't sit here and lie and say that I did not have a good time with it. This game was insanely fun. The platforming was great. All of the different levels were so unique and different. The amount of like creativity that went into all of these levels, and then just with that and mixing with the all of the PlayStation Studio games was really cool. Getting all of the different buddies and finding all the different bots. We had a ton of fun with it. I played this one with my kids. We did quite a few streams. Our streams did super well. And partially is a little biased because this is the game that really got my channel out there. As I said in a previous video, we are sitting kind of at like 700. We're now like 4.5 thousand subscribers, and it's all thanks to Astrobot. So I'm a little bit biased, but even those things aside, this game was incredibly fun and super addicting, and even now, my kids and I still love to boot it up every now and then and play a couple levels. Super fun. I can't wait to see what Team Asobi does next. I think it's going to be a banger. I had so much freaking fun with Helldivers 2. I remember getting this game, and I've been following it for a while, and I remember seeing it, and I'm like, yeah, this game looks like it'd be really fun. And it was one of the, 10 or so, not mobile games, 10 or so multiplayer games that PlayStation was doing. And when I first got it, there was like nobody playing. Like, there was a few thousand maybe, but it was I didn't even have full matches sometime, which is crazy because like literally like 2 weeks after getting it, this game blew up and everyone and their freaking grandma was playing this game. I had so much fun. I played with my friends. I played with some of my family. Like, we just had so much fun. All the chaos in this game is just, it's funny, hilarious, The gunplay is really good. I love the stratagems where you can punch down the stratagems and have them come down, and the friendly fire is on, which leads to some freaking hilarious moments where I've thrown stuff and it got stuck to one of my buddies, or it got stuck to me and it bounced off and it landed on my shield, and now I have like a huge freaking atom bomb that's targeting my player. A lot of fun. All of the enemies were really fun. You have the Tyranids, the bugs that were really fun to take out, as well as like a Terminator style like planets, the automatons that are taking over things, and like those were insanely fun. And now they have aliens. I haven't played it myself yet. I saw like the announcement, but man, it looks so much fun. I played this game for literally like 2 months straight. I played it every day. I was so addicted. I even got the platinum trophy, which is not super easy. Bear in mind, there's quite a few trophies that are insanely hard to get. At least in my opinion, they were really hard to get. But man, this game was insanely fun. I highly recommend this to anybody who hasn't played it already. I just had such a good time with it. Helldivers 2, I can't recommend it enough. This game was absolutely incredible. Probably one of the best story games that I've played this year. I don't want to say story games, but had the best story out of all of the games that I played this year. You have to play the first one to really know what's going on, and technically this is a remake and it's part of a now going to be a trilogy, but this game had so much content packed into it. I was actually just blown away by how much just stuff there was to do in this game. Like, you have your main campaign, which was incredible, but then just the zones that you're in, like the open world parts, just had so much to do. You have like the open world area, you get like a vehicle and you can drive around, and you're doing all these different materia hunting, and then you have the casino parts that you're doing all the mini games in there. And Queen's Blood was insanely fun. That's probably like the game that the closest to Gwent that I could think of, where I really love Gwent. I think it's super simple, it's super addicting, and Queen's Blood is a similar style card game where it's just real simple to understand. You just try to get the most points in your row, same as Gwent, but also it's different enough that it's quite different from Gwent. Really fun. The combat for Final Fantasy VII was insane. I loved the new, what do you call it, like the synergy, where you can, you and your companion, whoever you're tag teaming with, like Tifa or Aerith or Barret, and if you could build up that bar, now you can do a synergy attack, which is an even stronger attack. So combat in this game was insanely fun. I really liked it. The story itself was super cool. My only gripe with it is that, man, these commercials and the advertising for this showed Zack in it so much. I played Crisis Core and I immediately fell in love with Zack's character. Super cool. And he just really wasn't in the game as much as I thought he was going to be. He's still, like, he's not brought back. He's in a different, they tackle like multiversal timelines where Zack is in a different timeline and Sephiroth is now hopping between timelines. But anyways, Final Fantasy was a ton of fun. I loved Sephiroth, seeing his backstory and learning more about his character, and just the Cloud's background too. I think the story here is really well done. The graphics are insane. It was a little bit fuzzy, like one of the performance modes, but I've heard that it's been patched out now on the PS5 and it looks great. But at least at launch it was a little bit fuzzy. But overall, I sunk a ton of hours in this game. There's just so much to do. There's so many mini games. There's so much things in the open world that aren't just like they're actually fun to do. That's why it reminds me a lot of like The Witcher, where like some of the side quests are fun to do and they're worth it to do, because you'll get certain gear, you'll get materia, you'll get upgrade armor, all that kind of stuff. Like, it was actually fun to go out and just do stuff in the world outside of the main campaign. Granted, the main campaign was insanely good as well, but I just had so much fun with this game. I literally can't wait for the next one, but I feel like we are quite a few years away considering how long it took for this one to come out. So and my number one game of the year for me personally was Black Myth: Wukong. I had so much fun with this game, which anyone who knows me and follows my content for a while probably isn't a surprise, because I'm a huge Dark Souls fan, a huge Soulsborne fan. Those are among my top favorite games ever. Bloodborne and Elden Ring are literally two of my favorite games of all time. So Black Myth Wukong being in the same genre as that, it's not hard to see why I love this game so much. This one definitely is more of a lot more bosses than a lot of the Dark Souls games. You play as Song Wukong, and you're going through and you're getting all of the hidden relics and trying to make your way back to the mountain. The story is very much similar to Dark Souls fashion, very vague, and you're only getting pieces at a time. And even when I got the full story and got the little trailers after beating the chapters and whatnot, I didn't know enough about Journey to the West, and even then I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. So after that, I'd be like watching YouTube videos because I'm like, dude, I don't know anything about Journey to the West. I don't know really anything about Chinese mythology. So it was kind of a learning experience for me. Just like Space Marine 2, I'm a big reader, so I put the Journey to the West on my to-be-read list so that eventually I could read this, because I was just so entranced by this world. I loved all of the weird characters and like the different bosses. They all like mean something, so had a ton of fun with it. Combat is really great. It's more like Sekiro, I would say, than anything else, and where you just have your one weapon. Like, yeah, you can kind of change it, but you still have a staff. It's not like you could switch to like a sword or an axe or anything like that. But man, was the gameplay so much fun. Like, I know it's simple, and you're basically just kind of hitting R1 and R2 pretty much the whole time with a mixture of like your different abilities and whatnot. But the bosses were fun. Yes, there was like some enemies in between, like fodder enemies, but man, the gameplay here was really fun. The bosses is some of the best things that I love about these games, and the boss fights here were freaking incredible. I don't know what these guys were smoking. They say that their game is not hard. They're lying, dude. Their game is definitely hard. Are all the bosses hard? No, there's definitely quite a few bosses that were insanely easy that I beat my first try. But man, that last boss, the Sage boss, are you freaking kidding me? That took me so many tries. That boss alone is harder than a ton of Elden Ring bosses, a ton of just FromSoft bosses in general, which, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge From Software guy, but I feel like a lot of people put those games up on pedestals, I mean myself included, but even I can recognize when there's bosses out there that can be harder than From Software. They don't make the hardest bosses, but man, Song Wukong, or the Great Sage boss fight, was insanely fun, dude. I can't tell you, like when I beat it, dude, I had no more health vials, my heart was pumping. It was a ton of fun, and there is so many different boss fights that are like that. So many different like hidden Easter eggs where you have to do certain things. I'm just finding out now that if you like went and fought the spider dude, but you didn't knock off all his arms, like you get certain armor, and like if you beat all of the different Sage dragons, it unlocks a secret ending. Like dude, I didn't even know. It's making me want to go play Black Myth Wukong again. So, boss fights here, insanely fun. I know they say it's kind of like a boss rush mode, but that's, in my opinion, that was kind of more at the beginning. As you get towards the end and, you know, more and more chapters happen, it's less boss rushy, I would say. I feel like the first two chapters, you're definitely going through a ton of boss fights, but man, this game was so much fun. It's very rare that we have games that you see like super in advanced and they're super hyped up, they look super cool, there's a ton of like, you know, development behind it, and I feel like very rarely do we see games where that like are this hyped up and actually deliver on the hype, right? So like there's been plenty of games that were like, oh man, this is gonna be good, and then when they come out they end up being, you know, big dumpster fires. So I'm actually pleasantly surprised that, like, because part of me was reserved, like, is this game gonna be, like, it looks too good to be true. Kind of like Stellar Blade. It actually reminded me a lot of Stellar Blade, where I was like, this game looks too good to be true, and it turned out to be awesome. And honestly, like, my last, like, honestly, any of these ones could have been my favorite. Like, this was such a good year. Other than, like, number 10 that I put First Descendant, really, like, from 7 up, you know, we got all those games could have easily been the best game, and they are all really incredible games, and I highly recommend every game on this list. I think it was an amazing year for gaming. I had so much fun. Like I said, we met our goal and hit not only 1,000 subscribers, but we are at 4.5 1,000 subscribers, guys, and it's all thanks to you. But anyways, that is going to be my top 10 list from 2024. What an amazing year. Let me know, guys, down in the comments below what your favorite games of the year were. And yeah, that's going to be the end of the year. Well, it's end of the video and end of the year. This is going to be the last video of 2024. So I hope you guys had an incredible year. I know I did. And once again, guys, big thank you to all of you guys that showed up for me, that subscribed, that took the time out of your day to watch my videos. You guys are freaking awesome, and I can't wait to see, you know, which new heights we hit in 2025. Sorry about that. My camera died, so, or I should say my phone, because I'm recording this on my phone. My phone died, but we're back at it. Just wanted to say big thank you to you guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And oh, before we go, just a reminder, we do stream every Wednesday at 7 p.m. as well as Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. So don't forget to be subscribed so you guys can be notified whenever we go live. And without further ado, guys, we will see you next year. Peace.